What's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again, and this has been a video that is long overdue. I get it, and the one before it was long overdue as well. I get it. I've needed me time, to be honest, and I should never have released that video a couple of weeks ago. I've needed a break. As you can see, I'm in different surroundings. This is the garden, so this is our little decking area, a little pergola area. And I just thought, you know, the weather's nice, it's not too windy. I'm hoping that you can hear me okay. There might be a little bit of water from the little planter pond that I built, and you might hear a couple of birds tweeting, might hear a bit of music in the background. But all in all, this is just about getting out and just talking all things Everton. And the new shirt arrived this morning, and I think I need to thank Everton because I didn't order it. I did order some shorts. And all of a sudden the shirt had come, so yeah, very grateful for that. And obviously, look, we talk about all of the things that are going on at Everton, the potential ingoings and outgoings, but more importantly, let's start with the shirt. The shirt, I would argue, looks fantastic. It looks like a really nice shirt. It reminds me a little bit, going back to the one-to-one shirt, but it includes some of the heritage of previous shirts as well. I love the Archibald work on the collars. I just really like it. I just think it's different, it's authentic, and it will make Everton stand out a little bit next season, and that's a positive for me, in my opinion. That, you know, Everton, I've been all right with the shirts. I don't think the Hummel shirts have been bad. I think they've been quite nice, really, but this one is different, and I'm really happy about it. I'm really happy about it, and it fits nice. It's a nice shirt, so yeah, more than happy with it. I should really have put it on for this video, but I haven't. So yeah, so that's a shirt. Let's talk about some of the outgoings and ingoings. Everton have been linked with several players. Rodrigo from Leeds is one that's been named a lot. Willie Gnonto. They've been linked with Somerville, Tyler Adams. Basically, if you play for Leeds, you've been linked with Everton. On top of that, though, we've been linked with players from abroad. We've been linked with Japanese internationals. It does look like the scouting network has almost changed, and we are trying to unearth more gems rather than going and spending £50 million on a player and hoping it works. It does look like we're trying to be a little bit more considerate of our transfer budget, considerate of our plans, and you know, it was kind of reassuring that a player hadn't gone out before the 30th of June, because then it would look like a fire sale. There was a few tweets by some prominent people on Twitter the other night where they were sort of insinuating that it could be a fire sale. I'm not really getting that impression. I think it's still a case of Everton getting wages off the book, but the book is much thinner than it was 3 years ago. Financial fair play, don't get me wrong, it's not disappeared, but it's certainly not as bad as it has been. So I personally don't understand why Everton can't go out and spend a little bit of money this summer, apart from the obvious, which we'll talk about in a minute, which is the ownership and the board and all the shit that is going on with that. So, you know, we'll talk about that in a second, but you know, some of the news that has been mentioned, and some of the players that have been going out. Obviously, Isaac Price has left. Young player that's got potential, and yet again has chosen not to stay at Everton. There's an under-16 lad. He's been linked with a move to Manchester City, and looks like that could happen as well. And the other one is Ellis Sims. Ellis Sims has been linked with a move to Swansea. He's been seen in Swansea today, looking at a deal of about £7 million. We have been linked with their striker Pyro, I can't pronounce his name, but he scored 44 goals in about 88 appearances. So he looks a decent striker. He doesn't look like Gyökeres from Coventry. He doesn't look like the same calibre of player, but he looks a decent player. But the simple fact of the matter is, this Everton's team have lacked goals for seasons now, a couple of seasons. They lack firepower, and albeit we need to bring in players that will just put the ball in the net, and if we have to take a gamble on championship players, and so be it, but there has to be something behind it, and a goal win 1 in 2, that works for me. It seems like fair logic for a player that might get you 15 goals in the Premier League. It's a tough ask, of course it is. It's a massive step up, but we just need to find a goal scorer. And you know, Calvert-Lewin has his injury issues. You know, he had continued injury issues at the end of the season after we tried to get him fit, and Sean Dyche was talking about how important he was to the team, and it just didn't work. It didn't work. He ended up breaking down again, and we had to rely at the end of the season on players like Maupay, which, no disrespect to Maupay, but he's not a Premier League player, and I still don't expect him to be at Everton at the end of the season. I'm just looking, there is literally a bird in my plant. It's quite a sweet little robin. So I think Ellis Sims going, it speaks volumes about where you put him in the pecking order. You've got Lewis Dobbin. We haven't heard much about where he might be going. I just think this is a season where Everton need to prove to the youth players that actually you are going to get game time, you are going to get opportunities, because the youth players are now turning their back on it. The youth players now are turning their back on it, and they'll look at Sims, they'll see what's happened to him, they'll look at Tom Davies, the fact he's left. Yes, he broke in, yes, he made over 120 appearances or 150, whatever appearances it was in an Everton shirt, and credit to him, but he's no longer an Everton player. He's no longer an Everton player, and the youngsters will pick up on that. Onana has been linked heavily with various clubs, one being West Ham, Chelsea, Arsenal. He's been linked with all of these clubs. You've got players that have been linked with moves away as well, in players like Damari Gray, Mason Holgate. And I'm not saying that these are bad moves. I'm not saying that taking 25 million for Damari Gray is a bad move, because it's not. I'm not saying that losing Mason Holgate to Sheffield United is a bad move. It's not. But I don't necessarily think it's reassuring for the younger players, because they would be hoping to get some opportunities, and they're not gonna. I think your centre-back pairing next season, it wouldn't surprise me if it's Branthwaite and, well, yeah, it's probably Tarkowski. It looks like Michael Keane is still going to be at the club. You know, whether you like that or not, it looks like that is the case. It looks like the left back is still not good enough, in my opinion. Right back, we've just, Seamus Coleman's just extended his deal, and look, I love Seamus and I'll never disrespect him, but I feel there's a lot of sentiment behind that, if I'm being honest. I look at the midfield's weak. They're trying to say that Andre Gomes is a good player to try and get a bit of a fee for him, but we all know that he won't be an Everton player next season. And then you've got players like Dele Alli, which are around the fringes, that if he makes another 7 appearances, we've got to pay Spurs 10 million. It's just, the squad is a mess. It's unbalanced. You've got players like Andros Townsend, who can clearly showed the right attitude, clearly showed a goal threat and an ability to cross the ball. He's gone. You've lost Yuri Mina, who has been linked with various clubs, you know, in Greece, he's Fulham, he's been linked in Turkey, he's been linked in Spain, you know, clearly a player with decent calibre. Everton have lost him. So I sit there and I don't have any positivity when it comes to the Everton boards, the Everton signings, the Everton transfer plans, you know. And we are on what, the 1st of July now, 2nd of July. It's a mess. It's a mess. The fact that Everton haven't brought anyone in at this point is bad. We've been linked with Tom Heaton from Manchester United, who would be a replacement for Asmir Begovic, who weirdly was linked with Manchester United in January. Apparently he was offered another deal, and then Begovic come out and said that he wasn't. I just think the whole club is a mess. And then you've got the ownership issues where, you know, there's investment in the stadium, there's still a shortfall. You've got MSP, we don't quite know how much of the club they're buying or not buying. You've got that they've invested and they've done a deal. You've got that half the board have left. You've got that Bill Kenwright is staying on as chairman, and Mashiri's essentially done that and stopped him leaving. The club is a joke, and I have no time for Mashiri or Kenwright, but the way that this club is run is absolutely shambolic, and I'm actually really concerned that it spells relegation. I remember a couple of seasons ago, or 3 or 4 or 5 seasons ago, when Aston Villa went down and they were perceived to be a big club, but they just gradually just ran out of steam, and they ended up going down with something like 17 points, which is the second lowest Premier League total. Now, I'm not saying Everton are going to implode to that extent, but it's not great. It doesn't say positive things, does it? And you know, I sort of sit here and I don't have positive words to say about Everton. I don't even enjoy talking about Everton. And you know, I was looking at the pre-season friendlies, and you know, going over to is it Switzerland, and then obviously we've got the standard ones that we always tend to play in teams like Bolton and stuff like that, and Preston. Then we've got Sporting Lisbon at home, and You know, I've seen all of this before. It's like Everton at the minute are not attracting any talent. They're not attracting any quality opposition. They're just a nothing club in people's eyes, and it's the wrong trajectory for Everton. We're going in completely the wrong trajectory, and I can sit here and I can harp on about it. I can make this podcast as fantastic as you like. You know, I can change the scenery. I can hang Everton shirts up. I can do whatever. But the simple fact, and the same message that every single podcast will be saying and should be saying, in my opinion, is this club is run like an absolute joke of a football team, and it's a disgrace on us fans. We're treated poorly. The board have thrown us under the bus. The man that's done that is still on the board, and the owner has allowed that. I think it's an absolute farce of a situation, and I can sit here and praise the shirt. I can praise the work that we do in Everton community. I can praise lots of things, but the simple fact of the matter is that this club, while it is ran under the hands of Mashiri and Kenwright, we're going nowhere but backwards. And how much more backwards can we go? We stayed up by a point at the end of the season, this season, and I think if we go backwards again, we get relegated. It's that simple. I think you're going to have a Burnley side that will stay up. I think Sheffield United will probably go down. I think Luton will probably go down. And again, I'm concerned it's going to be an Everton-Bournemouth mix for the final spot. And you know, until something happens and we bring in players, and I'm concerned. We were linked with Taremi, a fantastic player, wrong side of 30, but a very good player, goal scorer. Doesn't want to come anywhere near Everton. Everton have also been linked back again with Danjuma, a player that laughably turned us down in January. You know, we were convinced we were signing him. He would have been the only signing that we made in January, and he goes and joins Spurs right under our nose. And yet there's no bad blood. There's no anger towards him. The guy played about 15-20 minutes in a Spurs shirt. I think he played a game. You know, and you've got an Everton team that were desperate for someone with his abilities, his qualities and his attributes, and I've just said the same word for the same thing 3 times. How impressive is that? So yeah, I don't have positives. I just really want this Everton team to do something. You know, pre-season is literally round the corner, and this team is nowhere near ready. The under-21s, obviously the championships and whatever, and the games that they've played. So James Garner isn't going to get much of a break, which for me I find the amount of football that these lads are playing now an absolute joke, and that's without including Champions League or European nights. I just think it's a joke. And I know people will say, yeah, you paid 50, 60, 70, 80 to £1 million a week to play football, but it does wreck your body, it does kill your body, you know. And I don't know, for me, football as a game at the minute is just irritating me. It's just pissing me off. To be honest, June's been an horrendous month for me personally anyway, but to add on top of the fact that Everton are awful and there is no light at the end of the tunnel, you just sit here and you just hate it. You know, Everton used to be the things that I'd look up to and I'd be like, yes, at least we've got this, but every facet has been horrendous in my life this month. Everything. So it's just about grinding through, and I have personally, and it's the same thing that Everton need to do. They need to grind through it. They need to get through it, because if they don't, I do suspect we'll be a championship side next season. Now, I know people don't want to hear it, and I'm really sorry that I'm being negative, but I just won't sugarcoat it. I never have. This podcast has never been about sugarcoating it or pleasing people. This podcast has been about me giving my opinions and me talking about this club, and the fact of the matter is the people that run it are horrendous. The players in the blue shirt are not good enough, and I can't see light at the end of the tunnel because there doesn't appear to be any money to spend, while you've got teams like Newcastle, like Aston Villa, like you can even argue West Ham, although they finished 15th. They won a European competition for the first time in 42 years. And you've got Everton Football Club that have gone from 6th in David Moyes' final season, or 7th, 6th, I can't remember, 6th or 7th. You know, and players like Morales, who was fantastic, by the way. You know, you then got that first season under Martinez where we threw away top 4. Let's be honest, we did. The last 5 games of the season, we threw it away, which was horrendous, but we did what we did. We then had one decent season under Koeman 2 years later, and apart from that we've had nothing. And even that season under Koeman we got absolutely obliterated in Europe. home and away. It was one of the most embarrassing campaigns I've seen. It was pathetic. So I don't have positive thoughts when it comes to Everton. I just really don't. I just wish that the trajectory of this club was going in a different direction to what it is. You know, I'm looking at friends who support Leicester, and they're more positive than we are, and they're a Championship side. They just got relegated, and they're more positive because, you know, yes, they're losing players like Maddison, and they might lose players like, you know, Indides and whoever else, and they've just lost Tillemans, etc. But they're replacing them with Premier League quality to bring themselves up. It's a joke. It's a joke, and I just don't have any good words for it. I just wish this team would. I wish this board would realise, and I wish the owners would realise, and I wish that we could just grind through it. But I'm really struggling this season with light at the end of the tunnel. I just do not see light at the end of this tunnel, and I just think that the club is a farce. The club is a farce, and yeah, I don't have much positivity towards it. I really don't, and I really hope that, you know, something in the next few days changes and my opinion changes, but I don't have that positivity. I'm going to try and upload a bit more regularly now, guys. Appreciate that it's been a rough month with me personally, and you guys have stuck with the channel. So thank you ever so much for your support as always, and love and gratitude. I am going to try and mix it up. I'm going to try and change the channel. I just don't quite know how yet. I quite like this setting, if I'm being honest, but there's no way I can sit in there in the winter. So yeah, guys, as always, keep smiling. Thank you for your support as always, and up the toffees. Peace.